Roll call.
We have 6 present, 1 absent.
Who is it?
Clint.
Clint, yeah.
You want to open the floor for them to speak on the historical?
Mr. Brian Saunders, they're with the historical society, they want to speak to us tonight. Do I need to suspend the rules, or is that to go up?
I would.
You're inside the meeting, so I would probably just a quick suspension.
It's all right, I'll just ask to suspend the rules for easy. All in favor?
Floor's yours.
Thank you, Mr. Terry. I'm Brian Saunders. I'm a resident, 741 Frank Earhart Road, Dover, Tennessee, right across the river. I don't know if any of the other ladies are going to talk. Jane, Ski, my mom, but they're all here. We're all here with the Stewart County Historical Society. Historical Society was given a house, Sykes Museum, and it was built in the 1880s, 140 years old. They did a big renovation project about 10 years. It has the big museum area, the meeting place, and we meet over there multiple times a year. Well, we're having some problems with the porch that was over 100 years old, and through rain, snow, and different things, it's deteriorated. Now we can't let any of the prom kids for pictures, any of the boat people, any of the museum people, any of the people on the porch, because right now it's roped off. The rest of the building, including the 140 years old, is in good shape. The new part is in good shape, and before I tell you why they need a little bit extra money from you guys, I want to point out a lot of things the Historical Society has done to promote and keep the history and heritage of Stewart County alive and well. They did 2 different volumes on history of Stewart County and families. I'm sure some of you folks are probably in here, some of your ancestors. History of Stewart County in pictures, cemetery records of Stewart County. If you want to know how Stewart County got its name, you can read about Duncan Stewart, 50 pages. Women involved with Stewart County in Fort Donaldson. In their last big project, Memories of World War II on the Home Front, Stewart County Stories. This is a tremendous amount of hours that put into these 2 books, keeping Stewart County alive. Because these folks here, and Kim is here, they put in countless amount of hours. Now, I don't put in the amount of hours that they do, because I still work full time, but they put in a tremendous amount of hours doing research and records so future generations knows what's happening and has happened here in Stewart County. You know, I recently heard somebody say the Declaration of Independence is the pulse of the United States, and I agree with that 100%. Well, we have our own pulse here in Stewart County, and the Sykes Museum, the Historical Society, is part of that, along with the LBL, Fort Donaldson, the rivers, Friday night football games. That's all part of our heritage and our history. Now, originally they were approved for $80,000. Then he got approved for $50,000. I really think they're about $10 grand short, because the rails, when they have to redo the rails all around the house, 2-story house, new code, you know, back in the day, guys weren't 6'1" like me. My ancestors might have been more like 5'2", 5'4". Those rails might have only been 3 foot. Current rails got to be 4 foot. That's the new code. Some busted up concrete. It can be a little trip hazard. And I know there's talked about the 5,000 last night. I'm asking, and we had a brief little discussion, y'all consider 10 so they can bring everything up to safe. Because folks, I'm telling you, a lot of the members over there a little bit older than me, and we really need it to be safe for them. I know my mom, I heard her talking, I won't just speak for her. They want this project finished so bad. Some of them's throwing out the idea of dipping into their savings just to get the museum back up. The money y'all donated before probably gets them up to about 95% finished. They're just a little bit short, and that's why that I think that, and I'm asking for 10 grand. If y'all don't think y'all got it, whatever y'all can do, well, I'm surely will help them out. And I want to tell you a little bit about the house. Built in 1888. 3 governors have been in that house. 3 governors from Tennessee. Governor McMillan, Governor Patterson, and Governor Austin Peay, who Austin Peay's named after. There's actually 2 governors from a different state that's been there. Governor Ross from Wyoming used to live here. When he moved out to Wyoming, and when he died, they appointed his wife, Nellie Taylor Ross, who used to live in this area. She was the first woman governor in the United States of America in Wyoming. I've been to their state capital, Cheyenne. They got her picture there. Now, they didn't say Nellie Taylor Ross is from Middle Tennessee. They didn't say that. But she is part of our unique Stewart County history. David Crockett had 2 grandsons buried right here in Dover. A lot of the boat people, when they come around for the boats, and I'm going to do about a dozen tours for the chamber this year. I promote Stewart County. I promote take them to the museum, promote LBL. If you ever come back, we got a good museum. We got Fort Donaldson. We got LBL. We have Cross Creek. Hey, we're close to Nashville. I don't know if any of you folks from out in the Midwest ever go to Nashville, listen to country music, but there's a lot of reasons for you folks to come back to Stewart County. My favorite visit when I do tours, the water batteries at Fort Donaldson. I say, folks, if you're going to do one tour, get off right here, look at the river and read about it. But if you get off the boat a second time, the tour bus a second time, go into the Historical Museum. I've never had a visitor, and I've been doing this for about 10 years, 4 or 5, whatever many times I can work it out with the chamber, with my schedule. I've never heard anybody, I've always heard people say, I really like y'all's local museum. That is really, really neat. And if y'all have been to the museum, you know you got your older part that's 140 years old. You got the newer part that's about 10 years old. A lot of
20 years old.
I'm sorry?
20 years old.
20 years old, okay. And time flies. They have the Christmas activities there every year. They've had school groups go there. I tell you, the prom kids go there and take pictures. They've had anniversaries there. There's just a lot of different things that go there. Cordell Hall, Secretary of State under Franklin Delano Roosevelt, back during the Depression. He's been in that building. There's just a lot of history there in the Sykes Museum, and we really need to keep that history going. Terry, I hope it didn't go over my 3 minutes.
I don't think I'm going to buzz that.
Sounds good. Thank you all for y'all. Did any of these 4 folks have anything they want to add?
We do a lot of local things there too, like right this weekend, tomorrow we're setting up for a quilt show to be in the W.D. Sykes Museum, the whole house and everything. Well, we got to keep them off the porches. We can't let them be on the porches. But we are doing that on the next 2 weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. What we're trying to do is get the history of old quilts, document them, and then do a booklet on the quilts of the Stewart County, and we got a few from other counties coming too. But that's just one of the things we do. We do the Christmas trees at Christmas, and we have people come all over. We've done, there's been a UDC children's meeting there. There's been several different weddings there, but we don't charge for any of that, but we provide a place for them to have historical. And one of the families came back was Virginia Stone Williams. She's been there a couple of years ago, and I've talked to her several times since then. Took her down to LBL to the Stone Cemetery. She just calls me every now and then and says, well, what's going on? Nella's been talking to her about trying to get more history of the house written down, so we have another booklet for that purpose too. So we're always working on history stuff. So, and the quilt show's this weekend, so come see it. It'll be neat.
Anybody else?
I'd just like to ask one question. How many of you have ever been to the museum? Okay.
We'll invite everybody else to come too.
Yes, we meet the 4th Tuesday of every...
Next Tuesday we meet.
Next Tuesday, we meet the 4th
And we're having a
Tuesday.
quilt show program. How about that?
And we meet, and they can't have a meeting without a meal. So
Snack food.
early,
Snack food turns into a meal though.
and it's at what time?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
People start coming 5:15, 5:30 and socialize, and then we eat, and then we have a little meeting and a program. The last program we had was about pie birds. Anybody know what a pie bird is? It's a little thing you put in a pie. It's got a vent really from the bottom top to the crust, and the steam comes out the top, so your pie turns out good. So this time we got a quilt show. I think next time I'm trying to do something about the dirigibles that were in Henry County during World War II, and there's a Stewart County connection to how many people went there and worked from here. So that's my connection for that. I'm trying to get that for May. I'm not sure yet, but that's what my idea is. So we do a program about 9 months out of the year. So historical something.
If anybody wants to hear anything about the budget and trying to do this, it has been a hard thing to try to figure out. And if you have any questions whatsoever about how we have tried to cut corners to make it, make everything work, but every time the things either go up, sometimes they come down, and it's a nightmare trying to get somebody to work on the house.
We were gonna try to save the rails, but now we find out we gotta have 4-foot rails, so that's just another expense we didn't plan on. We're gonna try to use the old rails, so this things happen.
And there are other things that pop up, from time to time. And so we appreciate anything that you can do for us. And just keep in mind, if we want to be a vacation area or tourism area, we need that, because that is one of the most popular stops for these boats that come in. And then they spread the word, and then they find out about the fishing, and then they want to come back. I've had them come back. And we have people that come from all over the world that come here too. They're not just, we've had people from England and Japan and all sorts of places. So we're selling our county, don't forget. We're selling our county. And I got another one I want you to do, but I won't talk about that tonight.
Kim, do y'all have any?
I think we got it.
Thank you.
Motion to unsuspend the meeting?
I will say I went out and went over the budget with Ms. Saunders, and they are a few $1,000s short. We figured somewhere between that 3 and 5. Yeah, it's y'all's responsibility to give them what you want them, but that they are in need of that $5,000. I even sat down with them and went over their whole thing. We called Lowe's and Wallace's and everywhere we could call. So they are a few $1,000s short. I will say that. The original $80,000 was a recommendation. It was never approved at full commission. That's when we were cutting ARPA money, so that's how it got down to 50. But they are a few $1,000s short on that project.
And that'll be out of ARPA funds?
Yes.
Is that going to be in addition to the 3,100 they're asking over in town?
Yes, the 3,100 is our standard yearly.
Okay.
This is a separate one-time cost.
We do have ARPA funds for that.
We do. Page 1 is actually the letter from them. Now, this does say 5. I know Mr. Saunders spoke about 10, but I just wanted, it was just a brief request that I asked them to write up just so we had documentation.
So we don't vote on that now.
If you want to make a recommendation, I would take it back to Budget Finance. Last night, Budget Finance did meet because all the amendments are going to be in the full packet for April 27th. I went ahead and included that. They passed, they approved all amendments besides the one regarding the Stewart County Historical Society because they wanted the nonprofit to look at it and give them a recommendation first.
How much ARPA money do we have? We got enough to cover it?
We do. I mean, when you say that, assuming you would pass everything in the existing budget, we still have a little under 100,000 to spend.
And y'all live with 7,500?
You said y'all live with 7,500.
Tell them to get them where they need to be.
Every little bit helps.
Everybody helps, and we appreciate everything,
Do it.
everything.
Is that a motion?
Motion.
Yeah, make the motion 7,500.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
Then we're sending this to the budget finance, right?
Yes, sir.
Then it's not a done deal yet, it will go to the budget finance.
Yeah, this helps us when we put up the new posts and the rails. We're not trying to do a few this year and then 2 years later, we're trying to do more. And we don't want to piecemeal anything, we just want to kind of get as much done as what we can. So we thank you all.
Okay.
So I guess we'll go through each one by one and talk about them. First off is American Red Cross. Last year was $1,500. This year they're requesting $2,500 now. Open for discussion. Increase in 1,000.
Before we get started, I'd just like to say a couple things. I don't know, I'm sure everybody here has done a little bit of research on this, but I looked at Henry County, I looked at Houston County, I looked at Montgomery County. We are pretty much the only county that gives this much money to these nonprofits. I mean, I don't know if that makes a difference to you guys or not, but, I mean, I went back and looked on the state's website, looked at some of these numbers that they've got. I mean, some of these nonprofits are huge. I mean, some of the money that they have is bigger than our budget, so. Whatever I do that.
Well, like this, American Red Cross, do you know what these other counties does?
They do not.
They do not.
They do not. Montgomery County donates $0 to nonprofits.
You don't know about any other.
Houston County does the Bethesda mission. I'll have to look it up.
That's their local.
Their local food bank. And they only do that whenever they have funds available, and they do one-to-one. I could go through my email and find what they've done, but, and then I think Henry County does a total of like 75,000 for their whole nonprofits, and I think they give some to their Chamber of Commerce, and then one is I think a matching deal that they do for something else. Either way.
Does anybody know if American Red Cross does their own fundraising here?
I would assume that
There's
they
a local
yeah.
that you can give to. But I couldn't find anything in Stewart County to say that they did anything local.
I think in their letter they mentioned what they do, but I mean, I can tell you that our contacts are out of Clarksville, so, and typically they will ask for a little bit more every year. We've kept them at $1,500 for a number of years, even if they have requested more, just as information for you all. But my contacts for our office are out of Clarksville.
How long have you been giving them 15? Forever?
I mean, I've been here almost 15 years, and most of these, other than a handful, have been here for all 15 years.
Most of them been here as long as I have too.
You can probably do
I mean, working with the fire department's a good cause, because when we have the disasters, they did come in and help out, so I mean, it is a need for our community to be there. I make a motion that we keep it at the 1,500, and the increase is needed, and they can come back.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Any opposed? Second, we have the Athletic Association of Stewart County. They're requesting $18,000. Their previous year was $18,000 as well, so no increase. Me personally, I have some issues with the amount of money going to the Athletic Association, just because of some of the things I've seen where we were leaving money on the table when it comes to sponsorships and giving refunds to people just because of some control issues that are there. Not very happy with how a lot of that was handled, and I know it's just probably a couple $1,000s, but if they're donating, they're asking for a donation from the county itself, and these things need to be summed up and fixed in the right direction, that we're promoting for the children, about the children, and the athletic center to grow on its own, kind of be self-sufficient without these funds if we can. Anybody else got any discussion?
So what's your recommendation?
I don't know. I'm still on the, I haven't seen their full paperwork this year to see how much they have in their account as it is. I know we've signed some contracts to make it all in line, but I don't know that us not giving them any money is gonna help that come to fruition.
They're in the fund balance.
We did.
I know it's got a paper right here. Is this gonna be it down here, the 23, 3, 28?
Thanks, I believe it is.
Yeah.
That'll be there in the fund balance.
Is it, for what year is that, 22 or?
21 is what they.
21, yeah, they haven't given the 22 yet.
Right.
That's what I couldn't find this year.
I will say this, I'm gonna be like Martintown, we've been sitting here a while. I was here when they bought the land to build the ballpark. And to me, $18,000 is not a lot of money when you invest in your young people. And what I mean, you don't give the young people something to do. We need to provide the ball field and stuff to keep them busy. I feel like the kids, they get in trouble when they ain't got something to do, And that's a small investment in our young people, I feel like.
I have a question about when I looked at their statement. They were spending like 17, almost $18,000 on uniforms. Did y'all notice that? I mean, I know in Houston County they buy t-shirts, that's what you get. Your child gets a t-shirt. You buy the pants and the other things. So I don't know how many children there, but that seems like a lot of money to do.
Is that for all sports though?
I don't know. It's just got
The
uniforms.
number I seen was.
She's
for
trying
all
to speak up so they can hear us through the camera. I don't know about the, the ball side of the field, but I know soccer, you get a t-shirt with the registration.
Right.
It comes out.
Do
You
they
pay-
have football? I mean, football sells
Yeah, they do.
I would assume football, you're getting supplied almost everything
Yeah.
for safety
You're getting
reasons,
more money with all of that.
except for cleats.
Some of you younger guys probably, y'all got children over there or whatever, y'all know more about it than I do.
Usually that's put into your application as well. I mean, it's what you pay $40 for a student
Right.
to play. It's usually inclusive of that.
Do what, Mark?
I'll give you a game.
Fortunately,
mine don't play ball.
Don't believe they got it.
I'm glad to.
The 18 is not too much more, in my opinion.
So that motion?
Yeah.
Second?
Hey,
Boy Scouts Troops 501.
No, if you're, it's fine, however you want.
All in favor?
Okay, who made a motion, second?
George?
Seconded by Fitch.
Was that the Boy Scouts?
no,
Oh,
Athletic Association.
okay, okay. I got that, I just thought that.
$6,000 in ARPA funds.
But the Boy Scout, well, here's my thing, the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts, they're not even they only have nonprofit status with the state.
No, they do, because they have to register with the Secretary of State. They,
Right, I mean,
well, they register under the Middle Boy Scouts, yeah.
Okay.
They're a branch of the Middle Boy Scouts.
Okay, I was about to say,
yeah.
'cause when I looked it up,
Yeah.
I did not find it, I was like, no, this ain't right. But either way, what was their ending balance, you say?
It's showing $798.13.
But they got ARPA money?
We gave them $6,000 of ARPA funds, just for the
Just
Boy
like your-
Scouts, and the Cub Scouts got 6.
12,000.
Or are they together on this one?
No.
They're separate, but they're both 1,200 on
Yeah.
this one, yeah.
I have a discussion of why we don't give to the Girl Scouts, but only the Boy Scouts.
I wondered that too.
We did at one point,
Yeah, they can answer that.
and then, I don't know the exact details, but we lost the main person who sort of ran the Girl Scouts and would work with us. And then even during the ARPA time, Mayor Brandon had recommended money go to them, and when I reached out for almost a year, could never find anybody who actually was a contact who we could even try to get the money to.
And the ARPA money is in addition to what we gave them last year as well. Correct. Triple. The setup.
So is the Troop 501, is that for the entire agency, or is that for just this area?
That's
Or
just
Troop
Troop
501?
Yeah, Middle Tennessee supports numerous scout troops, so they're 501 for Boy Scouts and PAC 501 for Cub Scouts is how they're connected.
Max Touchton and,
It's Jennifer. Our main contact now is Jennifer Terrell. Terrell's number.
her husband,
Yes.
and they complimented and that cost me.
Got a motion on the table, any second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? CASA of the Highland Rim, previous year was 6,500, stays the same at 6,500.
We gave them ARPA funds, $30,000.
Court-appointed special advocates. a child shows up in juvenile court, random scenario, by the way, the child shows up and has been abused, the court system will then supply a CASA advocate to act with the child in court. So mom and daddy's in a domestic, kid gets hurt, they take the kid out of the home, CASA steps in, goes to court with the child. They do more than that, but that's just the real.
And most of those people are volunteers, and this just helps pay their expenses. Am I right?
There's only one paid position on staff, and she's the coordinator / director. I don't know what the position's called.
Yeah, it's actually, the person who's the executive director is out of Dixon, because it started in Dixon, and Judge Brigham worked with them to bring it to Stewart County. And so basically, she oversees the money, but like you said, most of the people that are the advocates are working with the children. They'll do some travel expenses. I've seen different receipts that she submitted when she submitted funds, receipts on the ARPA funds. A lot of that was
So
travel.
this is a Dixon County, Stewart County.
They keep it separate. They do keep their budget completely separate. And then they were CASA of Dixon. Now they're CASA of the Highland Rim, because honestly, she spoke to me a couple months back and wanted to make sure it wasn't, they didn't want to be associated with Dixon specifically, because they're actually trying to branch out to other counties as well now. So, but as far as I know, Dixon and Stewart may be the only two right now that they work with. But they even keep, when they submit their budgets, they'll even keep it in separate columns, so it's all separated for us.
Do they keep for accountability and paying your money home? Do
Yeah.
they give you
They're one of my stronger ones on supporting
They
documentation,
got
yes.
30,000.
all this money stay here, right?
Yes, I mean, what they will separate it out, even like on the ARPA monies, the prior administration had asked for receipts, so even on that, say a receipt that she submits to us is a mix, she'll actually write out which portion was Stewart County and which portion was Dixon, so it's clear how much she's reflecting in her reports.
Okay.
Oh, you're fine.
Oh.
Yeah, they have an ending fund balance of 31,726.
They had 31,000?
That's what this says. And they got 30,000 from ARPA funds from last year. Any more discussion? Since CASA's been here, how much have we been getting them? 6,500?
Yeah, I do
Because
believe.
we ain't had them for a long time.
Yeah, I think they started at 4,000 or 5,000, and then it got raised, to 6,500.
It's still the kids of this county, guys. If we can help the kids that need it, something wrong with us.
I make a motion to keep the same.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, next one is Highland Rim Economic Corporation, 8,500 was their last year's request. This year is 10,000. An increase of about 1,500.
Motion will give them 8,000. We're asking for higher money.
I'll
Go
second
the
that.
other direction.
All in favor?
Uh-huh.
Any opposed?
Hang on. I just want to make sure I'm right on something.
They're huge.
I know they are. Did they ever update their nonprofit status with the state?
They did.
And
You're
then-
talking about the glitch they
Expired.
had where it
Yeah.
expired? Yeah, they did.
Okay.
And Head Start, which is the next one, goes under the economic rim. It's sort of like
Okay.
a sub
Okay.
company underneath of them.
Okay, sorry, Mark.
Highland Rim Head Start, previous year was 1,000. This year 1,500.
Leave it at the house. Make a motion to leave it at
A second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Humane Society of Dover, Stewart County, $5,000 the previous year, and they're asking for $5,000 again this year.
Could I make a suggestion? Would y'all like to move the Humane Societies down and talk about animal control towards
Yes.
all the rest of them? Because if not, you're gonna get it all, I would get it all cluttered. Y'all are smarter than I am, but I would get it all cluttered.
Why don't we throw it all together?
Yeah, we need to just move it down and discuss it.
Sounds good. Mid-Cumberland, HRA, previous year was 19,816. This year is 26,727 with an increase of 6911.
Motion made 15.
What did I do?
They provide transportation to people that they've got, I mean, they're huge, and they've got a big balance. I mean, you only got 15, I don't know if I want to see 15.
149, they got a lot of pages in here.
Better than 26.
Yeah, theirs is one of the audited reports because they're larger.
You wouldn't have to know what page it's on, would you?
I'll give it to you, and you'll probably find them.
Oh, but Heather had that over. And they got a party for it.
They have certified accountants that
Who
do their
does the
financials.
Meals on Wheels?
That is Mid-Cumberland.
That's
Yeah, because I do know under Mayor Joyner's administration, they increased, I think it was 500 at one time, specifically for like Meals on Wheels. Yeah.
How many people do they serve?
Don't know, but I can, let me see if I can, that might be in here.
I think the meals themselves are cooked by a set of churches in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Methodist church now does all
Yeah,
that stuff.
Nazarene does some of it.
We deliver some of them, so.
They're just using the census population is, so like they're serving the 13,000 and some that live in the Stewart County. I mean, they're using that in their first page, I can see it on there. Let's see.
They never brought me none in mine. Okay.
Specifically, the meal, I mean, I'm not, that was just how many people they serve the community. I didn't mean specific to meals, yeah.
You said 15,000?
That's what it's debatable.
So is Highland Rim, Mid-Cumberland, are those federally funded?
Yes,
partially?
yes.
I don't want to slap anybody in the face here, but
Their government fund balances, and I'm just looking quickly because I believe they have multiple fund balances, but like the main total government fund balances on the 2021 report ending in June was a little over 12 million.
see, that's ridiculous. And they're coming to us, asking us for money when we can't even pay our employees adequate. I mean, that's,
I'm not saying give them the full amount, but realize they do a service also to
Yes,
people who
they-
need it.
They do.
It's not because some of these, you know, I've spoken with before, like Mid-Cumberland and Progressive Directions, just several of them. If you cut out, if you don't give them zero, they're pulling.
I know one boy that uses Mid-Cumberland, and he ain't got no way back to Florida to the doctor, and he goes all the way to Nashville, they carry him to Nashville. And I think they charge him a little bit.
It's minute.
Very little, very little.
But I'm not saying y'all give them what you want to give them, but just, they do
you said 15.
a service.
Okay.
You got a second?
Yeah, I'll see.
All right, the Cub Scouts, $1,200.
We don't vote on that?
All in favor?
Uh,
It's my first. Any opposed? Pass. PAC 501 Cub Scouts, $1,200 last year, requesting $1,200 this year.
Well, we've already done it for the Boy Scouts.
We're back to the kids again.
Motion approved.
Second.
See a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Progressive Direction Incorporated, $10,000 last year, $10,000 this year.
What do they do?
They help them.
They do offer a very good service. Keep in mind, they have 7 rental houses in this county. I
They've
believe.
got 6 in the city of Dover, so I know they have at least 7.
Yeah, I mean,
With multiple tenants in each house.
yeah, I mean, they do provide a very good service here.
If we get our money's worth out of anything on here, it's
Yeah.
PEI.
Yes.
Yeah.
Motion to keep it the same?
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? Stewart County Adult Literacy Council, 1,500 last year, 1,500 this year.
Can you explain what that is? Really?
I went to school and.
It is,
Go back to get your GED.
They help get GED.
if they're still there, they operate out of the annex. They have people that work with people like that to work with GEDs, people who didn't graduate high school. And I think they do some reading programs and various things with the community.
We have it in the fund balance of both funds.
Yeah. Motion to,
Second.
All in favor?
uh,
Any opposed? All right, Stewart County Alliance for Substance Abuse Prevention.
did she get her grant?
She did.
I believe so.
She said she was gonna pull it.
Well, she has 3 grants already, the grant money, and then she has a new grant that she just applied for.
Is she getting the opioid money? She been part of that?
That's ultimately up. You know, we have to make that decision. If, I'd let Heather speak on it, she spoke to her more than that. The way, am I understanding it right, that if we found the money in the opioid to offset this, she would pull this request?
Yes,
Is that,
she made a statement that basically said, if you all gave her opiate money, then she wouldn't request the 7,500 here because she didn't want to do that.
I think it would,
Yeah, that's right. I knew it.
we can find the money, and because she specifically deals in what, that opioid money is so specific, it's ridiculous, so that would target something that she does.
But
Her group is an allowed use under.
that's what she gave me too. So if everyone agrees, she wants to pull the request, keep it from going from the general fund, if she can get the opioid side.
Motion to pull it.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? All right, we're gonna move the animal one to the bottom of the list as well. Stewart County Chamber of Commerce wants 7,900, previous year 7,900. Any discussion?
Do they have paid positions?
I think there is one paid position, that's the director, correct?
This is different from the hotel motel tax, right?
This is. My understanding is they have a director and then, do they still have like a receptionist secretary or assistant?
They have the position available, but there's no one currently hired.
Oh, okay. At one point, they have had 2, but I guess right now it's just the director.
Who is it?
Angie Smith.
I've been doing this for years and years and years. I think
I mean, you've seen the boats coming in and what they're doing from that side, and we're always trying to promote us as a business of recreation. We got something to work with as far as flower and putting the time in, so I make a motion.
You know, if I can elaborate just a little, I will say that the 7,900 they're asking for, if the city of Dover, we've been in close contact with them, talking about how they're going to join in on the Chamber of Commerce. And I've spoken with Charles. He has probably not spoken with the board yet, but Charles has made it very clear they want to be partners with us in on this. So if we did this year in hopes that Dover would join next year with similar to what our contribution is, then I feel like that would more than ample let us pull that 7 next year.
Advertising is not cheap. Where you doing that?
You make a motion?
I made a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? All right, Stewart County Faithful Friends Animal Rescue. Goes to the bottom. Next up, we have the Fire and Rescue. Previous year was 94,000. This year, they're wanting 125,000. Did we request for them to come speak to us?
No, we had said we were going to look at the full budget and then decide who we wanted to ask back to do this.
What are we doing on that one?
I make a motion that we wait and ask them to come back and visit. It's a big jump in money.
They're in desperate need of a fire engine. That's the makeup money is
Yeah,
what
we
they're
had
asking
your
for.
work.
They cut it,
They-
yeah.
They wanted to get
It's been pretty long the last
130 or so
year.
thousand,
And
and they were asking to drop it back down.
well,
Yeah, we're getting the money from Dover as well, added into that fund
Right.
at that point in time. Now they've lost that, so.
And they asked for ARPA money. I'm just giving you scenarios. They asked for ARPA money, and previous administrator gave it to them in bonus form, which at the end of the day didn't help the fire department. It did help the firefighters. But if you're saying fire department, they did not get any ARPA money or.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't see how they operate the fire department on what they operate on. And many of firemen in there is, and I used to work in Cumberland Electric, I was out there all hours of the night with them, or I was getting paid. They were volunteers. And they were out there 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning fighting the fire. They were all volunteers. They had to get up and go to work the next day. And
I could contest
I'm
that.
in the same boat, you know, I've dealt with them too on fires.
yeah, you do
calls.
know. And they're out there all hours of the night and everything.
I
And
do, wish they was here, you know, seems like a lot of them got a lot to take on duty.
Let's go ahead and put 125 in there.
Yeah, I can't vote on this one just because I am a part of the fire department, so I'm
That's my motion.
stream.
well, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We'll say no to that.
Or,
Me too. No.
Close 3, couldn't make it.
So do we request that they come speak to us?
You can go back to discussion, or you can request they come here and speak on.
How would everybody do with giving them 100,000?
I'm okay with the
Or do you want to hear them talk?
I think we should give them the opportunity to talk first. That's just me. There may be more there than we know about.
well, let me ask you this question. When they take this money, do they split that amongst all the fire departments, all your stations? Are they equal? Do they do a pretty good job of splitting that up?
I work out of Station 9, so we're our own entity. I can only speak to our side, but usually it goes into a general fund. We get like $3,000 a year for working off of that, but we keep our own money that we do for fundraising. It doesn't go in the general fund. Most of your fire departments are, stations are putting on at least 3 fundraisers a year, if not more in certain cases, trying to get their own money instead of coming to us. So, but that big of a jump for bringing it down, I'd like to give them a time to come and discuss why they're asking for that much. I know personally that one pump and an engine goes down, you're looking at $20,000 easily. Most of their fleet is getting older.
All those getting old, man.
We got SCBA's that need to be, a PPE for the actual firefighters, and you probably seen the sign.
$50,000 grant for that too.
Yeah, I don't know what all the grant was for when that one even came through, but I would much rather them come in and speak to it.
Well,
All of these nonprofits, they're one of the most important.
They are.
I agree with that. I 100%.
One of the most, if not the most.
To your point about Henry County, they have their own fire department, so they don't show anything given to nonprofits because their fire department's within the city itself.
No, I understand that.
Well, I think that my house be on the bar, there ain't nobody coming.
If we allow them to come back to speak, when would we do that?
I mean, we meet tomorrow, but I can't, I would have to get a hold of them and see if they could on that, quick notice. If not, we'll have to reschedule some meetings to bring them back again.
So we are as a nonprofit when we begin tomorrow.
Tomorrow night, if there is a meeting scheduled right now for 5:30.
And also, guys, we're seeing now finally the city and the county starting to work together. They had a little bit of rift going there. We spoke with Chief this week, so they're starting to work together on some stuff. So, maybe when they start working better together, that you might see a difference.
Relief.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that the city has helped the county out several times,
Well,
and vice versa.
They're just trying to get back what we took from them, though. 'cause
yeah, they used to be
we
on,
went down last year when we got our funds for them, and
They
went-
did decrease down to 88, and
how,
then,
how much was it at one time, Heather?
110, was it not?
yeah, I think you're right, it was 110, and then it got reduced down to 88.
They were at, I thought they
Last
was,
year, we pulled it to 94, because they asked for more. If you remember, one of the commissioners had made, or committee members, a motion to give them a certain percentage across the board of the people who were asking for more, and that's what got them to the 94.
If we follow suit, and I know we don't have to, and what we've been doing, we've pretty much not yielded increases on the ones we've already went over.
but I haven't got control of it, don't want control of it. But when they get their money, when they got a lot of different stations there, I just hope everybody's getting their fair share.
Hadn't heard a lot of complaining.
I hadn't
And that would be area complaining if they weren't being treated fairly.
I can tell you, I spoke to one of their, I don't know if he's their chief or not, I don't know what he is, and I talked to him about vehicles. A lot of people in the general public say, everybody at the fire department's got a vehicle. Now, they are working on that. I mean, so, that was a concern of mine.
And
I
was
came
mine
in there,
too.
they have a bunch of
Working on
takeoff
getting more?
cars. No,
That's the way it works.
they're cutting it. I mean, they've got rid of some older vehicles and they're transitioning in to start trying to buy trucks. That's what, so.
If I may
You know.
suggest one thing, if you want to possibly come up with a motion on an amount that everybody's comfortable, we could then still ask them to come back if they needed more to request
Additional
something,
funds?
or specific on a vehicle or something that they're looking at. That's just a thought.
I mean, can we not use, just throwing this out there, we've got ARPA funds, can they just not take some ARPA funds and buy a vehicle?
Don't have no money for ARPA.
Well, we wouldn't have enough money to fund their whole thing at ARPA after what's being left with capital projects. Now, I will tell you what I spoke with,
Well,
to Rick Joyner,
okay,
and he asked if the county does it the same way Montgomery County would to clear up something, if we would do like a capital outlay on a truck. And then at the end of the term, they would lease it from the county until the end of the term, and then it's their truck. So we didn't have to, so they wouldn't be coming back asking for money over the next 5 years trying to pay for a truck. I don't have the ins and outs to that. I don't know if Mr. Rick had
He
talked
mentioned
to
to
Heather
me
about that. I don't, so it's just another option, but I don't know.
what I was saying was, in their proposal that they give us, there were several things on the bottom, trucks, Polaris, and some other things on there that they wanted to upgrade or purchase. I mean, if we give them an allotted amount of money and they say, okay, you've got this estimate for this, you can use the ARPA money to purchase that. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, we'll be out of ARPA money though. We won't have enough ARPA money to fund that. After we do the capital projects like police cars, dump trucks,
Right.
ambulance,
Like
we're
we've less
pulling
than
that all
100.
of it.
Yeah.
We're trying to get that all in ARPA this year so we can not hit the general fund.
That's all? Yeah, no, I got you.
So, and once we do that, Miss Heather's thinking we're gonna have just a little south of $100,000. So, could we pull some out? Are you saying, can we go ahead and fund nonprofit with 94,000 and then
If they need
take to
money
budget
for a
finance
truck,
and ask them for 20,000 in ARPA
Yes,
money?
that's what I'm saying.
That's what you're asking?
Yes.
I think that's a plausible thing to do.
Yes.
You ended up, yes, we're funding them, we're only giving them the 94, but then y'all come up with a figure you would like to ask to turn over to budget finance. Is that?
Yeah, I
To-
mean, yeah,
to
you're not
pull out
talking
of
about
ARPA.
No,
a vehicle that's like a couple $100,000.
No,
You're talking
no.
about,
like their little
Yeah.
Polaris that they wanted, you know, I think it was like $18,000-$19,000 what they had budgeted for that or something. I don't think that that's exaggerating, you know, I think we could do the 94,000 and then give them another
So-
20,000 ARPA funds to.
I mean, if you do the 94 and give them another $21,000 out of ARPA funds, I mean, that's sitting pretty close to where they need it to be, but you're pulling from
Two separate
two separate.
items, I mean,
I don't know, it's y'all's.
I mean, I know the Cascade system that they want, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Dover's got about 20 grand, 30 grand wrapped up in theirs. Theirs is a trailer, it costs more. I'm sure, you know, whatever they decide to do, if we give them ARPA money, you know, they could cover some of their items that they want.
And I will tell you that, I know a lot of, I've got some flack over picking up trash and getting money, but they were the very first group to sign up.
Yeah,
Chuck called me and said, every road I can get, I'll have trash to
make money.
make money.
And that's
So,
good, that's good.
and that's another avenue for them. The reason I tried to come up with that plan, Margie and I did, is so we can bring these nonprofits that we're having to cut some back in and give them another avenue to make money and serve a purpose all at the same time. Not every group will be able to do that, I understand that. You're gonna have groups that cannot do that. But you're also gonna have several groups that can, and,
Yeah.
you know, we got a check for 14,000 from the landfill the other day. It's ready to go. I mean, as soon as we have a couple safety meetings with Miss Margie, they can make as much money as they want to make.
Well, I don't know how to put that in a motion for them, but that's what I'd like to see done. I'd like to see us give them 94,000 and then give them 20,000 from ARPA funds to do a capital project, whatever, buy something that they need. But it's just not.
That's one group, I'm gonna say that they really try to get their own funds in, and you gotta understand even the volunteers that are doing it, they're volunteers out of their own pocket money, et cetera.
Like I said, I don't see how they operate on.
Why don't we make it
on-
even
on that
100,000?
money.
I'm good with that, and even 100,000, and then,
They come back.
yeah, then they come back, yeah, I'm cool with that.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? All right, Stewart County Friends of the Public Library, 3,000 last year, 3,000 this year. Any discussions?
Friends of the library. We gave them 15,000 in our.
She stays pretty close all the time.
I like what they do, so,
And when I say that, I'm not saying I'm against it, I'm just telling you what they got.
Read his report.
They deliver a lot of books to, elderly people and everything else around here, and children. They have the little book boxes you're seeing everywhere, and I think she reached out to me as far as in our district to try to find a good location to put one. I think you've got one out of your
Yeah.
area. To me, it's for a good cause for what little money and what they put in there. I make a motion to leave it 3. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, next one, Stewart County Historical Society, $2,850 last year. They're asking for $3,100 this year. That changed to $250.
I say give them a 2850. Is that what it was? 2850, because we don't give them 5,500, right?
Yeah.
Got a motion on the table for $2,850. Any second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? All right, Stewart County Ministries for Stewart County Rehab Fund, $10,000 last year, $10,000 this year.
What's their ending balance on that, Shane?
Huh?
What's their ending balance?
That's what I'm going to right now.
I know a lot of people have probably looked into this one because there's been a lot of discussion that I've heard out there as far as donations from their side.
51,000 in balance.
How much did they spend last year?
Let's see. I can read it, right?
Speaking with Miss Fields though, at her.
$9,198.
So they didn't even spend all they had last year.
Correct.
But talking with Miss Fields about some of the stuff that she's doing with her side, that the ministry's rehab fund, that they could actually go to her and request funding instead of getting it from the general fund itself. And I thought that was a wonderful idea because it's tied back to one thing when we talk about
That
accountability.
this group here could go to them? Is that what
Yes.
you're saying?
Yes.
Stewart County Rehab Fund could go to them.
But they could go and get funds from her directly
Correct.
for like, they needed the 10,000. But I think it's got to be backed by a little more paperwork because it's a federal grant.
And then it had to come from us.
Wouldn't have to come from the general fund.
Well, then I'm going to make a motion to strike that.
Now, on the accountability of how much is in the account already, and
Yeah.
we have another avenue if they do need money.
And if they need it, need it next year, then always come back, but.
How much did they get?
They have an fund balance of $51,448.94.
And they only spent $9,800 last year.
They're not rehabbing many people, are they?
So, make a motion to strike it. He seconded that.
All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? All right, Stewart County Backpack Program, 4,000 last year, 4,000 this year.
Well, they go on.
I second.
That's a good program.
It is.
It's very well needed.
Stewart County Senior Citizen Center, 21,000 last year, 21,000 this year.
Aye, that.
Yeah, we can vote on that.
Oh, sorry. All in favor? Still trying to run through it. Let's just press a button like they do. Stay down.
Yeah.
All right, Stewart County Senior Citizen Center, 21,000 last year, requesting 21,000 this year.
Leave it alone.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Stewart County UT Agricultural Extension, 2,300 last year, 2,300 this year.
Motion, keep it the same.
I'll second that.
The Good Samaritans,
Aye.
Aye.
all in favor? All in favor? Right at the top. Tennessee Department of Agriculture Forestry Division, $2,000 last year, $2,000 this year.
Enter that in mine.
1948, we've done that since 1948.
Yeah, if you're-
Motion to approve.
I'll
I-
second that.
I still ain't figured out way forward.
If they had to bring that little bulldozer out there and run around the fire, they had to pay for
Well,
it.
it helped me, I know that, when somebody set my place on fire.
Oh, really?
Darn right.
If you're not to give it, you do have to cancel the contract, and there are terms in that, so there is.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We did do the Good Samaritan, right?
Yes. All right. Hotel motel tax contribution.
That's for the chamber.
All right, Stewart County Chamber of Commerce, the hotel motel tax, 26,000. And 22 to 23 year. Are they requesting something?
Basically, that is the amount we gave them last year, so it's just in their.
It's up for
it's up to
discussion,
them.
so
You want to get the same.
they went from 18, if I'm correct, to 26
Yes.
to fund a part-time position. I think their hopes is to fund a part-time position. They were kind of waiting on Dover to see what they're doing, but I don't want to speak for them, I don't represent them, so.
We're gonna give them these funds from the hotel motel tax plus what we gave them up here.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
That's what y'all did last year. I don't know what y'all did last year.
Motion approved.
Do we have a second? Any more discussion?
Do we know what they're gonna do with it? We do not.
Well,
I can't answer that. I mean, and I spoke to Miss Angie about the money, and she said, we're happy to have whatever y'all can give us. We're gonna put it to the best use we can to bring in more money. That's what she told me. So, if, you know,
Well, I will say this. Henry County's got a bigger chamber of commerce than we do. And they're not getting 26.
The only thing I see about that is here, we're a recreational county. We don't have any businesses to bring people in to see. It's all about recreation. So it's a little different of a job whenever you're trying to promote, some of the things that the chamber does. But what does Dover put in for this as well?
Nothing, that's what the thing is.
They're-
The hotels and motels in Dover that were getting hacked up. That's all I can tell you.
I mean, right now, we only have one working hotel. The other places are resorts, right?
They're at Airbnbs. The
Airbnbs.
reason that, because the original amount was closer to the total revenue that we received on hotel motel. In the last couple of years, about the time COVID began and the state changed the legislation of how the Airbnb money came through, they contracted with Airbnb, a couple of your other big ones, Vacation something. So basically that money goes directly now, the Airbnb is the marketplace. They have to pay the state, and then the state distributes that money directly to the county clerk's office. Yes, there are situations where somebody might be doing something on Facebook, and maybe that's not coming through the marketplace. But if they're going through the marketplace, like VRBO or Airbnb, that money's coming in. That's why our revenue is now almost 50,000 plus a year. So those Airbnbs are all throughout the county. So they have made a tremendous impact on the money that we're seeing.
How do you pick up that Airbnb on tax status? Does Martha pick that up, or how does she, them Airbnb?
well, those Airbnbs are paid for by the owners, the taxes are. But the Airbnb corporation itself, the company, that's who tracks the taxes. And it actually goes into one fund in Nashville. There's one big Airbnb fund. And out of that fund, we may not get money that's from this county. It may be from Franklin, you know, but we're sent out an allocation every year of what the air total. So no, they tried, right, to track down all the Airbnbs and actually did to some extent, right?
Well, I think now Natalie actually can, I think, see a little more detail. There's been, I have to get with her, I don't want to speak for her,
Right.
but I do think that you're actually now able to see a little bit more. The ones who have independent, like if somebody just does an independent Airbnb on their own, I know that she does have certain people who actually take their check down there to the to the county clerk's office directly, so they're paying directly. But if they're using the marketplace, like he said, it's the marketplace paying, the state cuts a check to the to the county clerk's office.
I mean, I'd like to see the community grow in a positive way for what we have here, you know, more campgrounds and different things like that, other than a motel or something. So, I mean, if they're increasing their income or increasing our income, I say we'd give them 26. Make a motion. Anybody for seconds?
Yeah.
Huh? You did it?
You already had a motion.
All right, second.
Forward.
You have a second?
No, it was just still discussion. You have the right to second that. If you're-
Yeah, I second.
Okay. You got a motion by Mr. Dortz, a second by Mr. Cryer.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Yeah, I wanna,
Motion failed.
can we give them a little less? I mean, I don't mind helping out.
How much money do they have?
Their ending fund balance was $1,500 on June 22, because they run a fiscal year July to June. So their expenses for the year were $46,000. Revenues for the year were only $41,000. So they had a little bit of deficit, which ended up in a fund balance of $1,500. So they're right on the
The
line.
director of the chamber is paid out of it, right?
Yes.
The director.
Well, I don't know, I say yes like I know, but that's not, all I know is we put money into that account. I haven't looked at their books.
But
Other
they-
than what they sent us. I mean,
Yeah, it was
we
a different
can't-
director last year. When
Right.
she came, she spoke about that was mainly for wages for herself and
There's
other,
no more out here to pay from it.
but
No, they actually take in fees. I mean, their chamber fees is a pretty good. And to your point, talking about Henry County, there's 4-to-1 businesses in
Yeah, I
Henry
get
County,
that.
and that's what,
I get
they're, when you go to their chamber luncheon, it's wall to wall. It's not, you know, I come to ours today and it was a good turnout. There was 20 people here. But that's a really good turnout, you know, so that's the money difference, the fees.
But she got $41,000 in revenue last
yes, they have like things outside of us with like a CEMC contribution, some gift shop donations. Member dues is that's their big, besides county money, that's going to be their biggest money. School shore excursions income, they have a little over 6,000. I would assume that's the boats.
What are you comfortable with?
I mean, this ain't what I come to with, it's what,
You just
that's
ask
a
it.
group.
Increase it, what are you going to be comfortable with?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking, probably like 13, and then see how it works. I mean, my thing is, it's not just her or the chamber, it's everybody on this list. They use us as a crutch every year. I mean, you can't be dependent on the county for everything.
So what was their previous years before the increase in?
The increase to 26.
It was 18.
I was, yeah, off the top of my head, I think it was 18.
18, add some inflation to it. We are, and if you've looked since COVID, there's not a campground space inside of this county, anywhere.
I understand that, but the majority of the campground space around here is owned by the federal government.
Not just there, but I mean, out highway, there's 4 campgrounds. That'll be going in here in the next couple of weeks, I hope. I vote for campgrounds in this area, because people come and they go.
Yeah, I do too. I wish we had a campground that wasn't on federal property.
If I could afford to put one in, I would.
Can we come back to it?
I know you already had a motion and a second on it.
And we
All in
had-
favor
and
today?
we vo- And we voted.
So now it's back up for discussion and for a motion.
We give them 18,000 before we give them the 26, right?
I make a motion to give 18,000.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, so now let's get down to the grid of the dog, animal control setup. We have, go back to the top up here, bear with me on my start.
It's 5, 4, and 4. $13,000 for the 3 companies, plus the biker.
I think it's 600. You're right. I'm sorry. No, it's our opinion. That's my opinion.
Moving, how much that figure up to be?
13,000 for the 3 animal groups that have asked. The
13,000.
contracted animal coordinator is what you're seeing at the bottom. That was with Sagely's Biker Bully Farm. That was the money that we discussed at county commission the other night, where you guys rescinded the $9,000 and entered it back into 101 funds. So that $9,000 is also still out there that you did not spend last year.
So the SCIP program is totally different than the other ones. They're just more about neutering.
Yes.
I would like to keep it separate out of the money for that and actually vote on SCIP by itself.
Yeah, so I'm fine with that too. I think,
Yeah, $4,000 motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay, let's back up, I was sneezing, so,
Scam.
okay, scam,
SCIP by itself.
okay. And what,
We have a motion by Mr. Dorch, second by,
Shane.
okay, what was the amount?
all in favor?
4,000?
Okay.
All right, so next we have is the Stewart County Faithful Friends Animal Rescue. And
Archie, can I say something?
Sure.
We voted on it to kind of get with the Animal Control Committee and let them come up with a long-term solution or a goal to hit. And I know I talked to Susan, I think Shane has talked to Susan. I'm fairly confident that there's a plan out there that's most likely going to work, I hope. I would honestly wait on these until after they meet and can give a recommendation to the full commission before we just give the money.
Now, this $18,000 is nowhere near what it should be anyway.
You mean it compared to the
compared to what
revenue?
we bring in.
Yeah, we're only bringing in about 5,000 a year.
Yeah, so there's a great big difference there.
Right.
Hey, Eli, when you said we voted, is that with the animal groups?
No. The full commission voted to,
Remember, you made the motion.
That's what you were referring to?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You had the loss for me.
Yeah, no. We as a commission voted to present, or, meet at the Animal Control Committee and come up with some sort of solution.
So, I mean, right now, that would make the
Not
9,000
one
that
of them
was being
leaving
requested
the
here.
animal control place.
Susan?
Susan, was she one who was gonna be leaving?
I can't speak on that. I know I talked to her yesterday.
I just thought I heard it. One of them leaving. Don't know her name.
I just really think that
I even offered Miss Susan to come tonight.
Yes.
To have her speak, and
Yes.
she said that she felt like
It was premature.
premature. A lot of unanswered questions on her part, our part.
So here's what we have to decide, though. We can't leave our budget
Yeah, it can't be
stranded.
hanging out here on
We
them
can't,
forever.
we can't say until they have a plan, we're gonna hold off money. I don't know how we would do that and come back. That would be a large budget amendment to make after and I don't even know where that money would come from.
Leave it all the same until they come up with a solution to present
If-
before the full commission.
You mean, put it in the budget, but we won't disperse it
Correct,
until?
yes, ma'am.
Until there's a plan in place.
So you have the 18,000 being requested from the contract animal control. The 9,000 we took back the other day, which would go in the budget, that needs to be put in the new budget this year, plus the $9,000 that we're talking about for the other two, Faithful Friends and Rescue, and the other one,
It's 36,000.
36,000 that we'd have to, can we put in there as like miscellaneous dog control? And then be able to disperse it as needed later?
I mean, you would just basically, I need to know which group, because when you give money to a charitable, we have to actually list, we have to do two things. We have to put a notice in the paper, so you have to list which group that you plan to give it to, so I don't know which one we would be listing, so that's one problem. And then two, it also has to be listed by name in the nonprofit resolution that commission will have to pass with the full budget. So if you do that, you still have to break it down by name.
Can we put all three of them in the same line item? Where it says contracted animal service, can you just put all of them in there right now?
I don't know, I think you have to, I don't know if you can name multiple people with a lump sum amount. I honestly don't know that answer. I'd have to look into that. I don't want to answer incorrectly.
And that was the reason the other night, you used $36,000, that'd be a substantial amount of money to give to an organization.
Get something fixed, not
Yeah.
just keep
That's
going.
right. Yeah, I mean,
That's the.
and that's what I want to do. I want to see one line on here that says contracted animal service, and we have one contact that we talk to for that.
That will be done.
I mean, since I've ran for commissioner, that's been one of the probably top 5 things that we've talked about. That people think we're doing nothing about, but, so what we're doing now is not working.
Right, that's right. And so it's kind of like the fire rescue. They're a contracted fire service for us, in a sense.
So I felt like it would be next to impossible to amend, and Heather's saying it would be a lot easier to amend this once we come up with a plan and amend the money back into the budget.
So how do you want to do it?
I prefer an amendment. I understand that you're saying that commission's going to pass a budget and they might have this additional money, but one, when you're talking about a $10 million budget, usually there's money that's coming from somewhere else too. We could still use ARPA for that 1 year because it wasn't originally in the budget. We could potentially take some ARPA. 3, you don't have to do 36. I know you're talking about the 9, but there's no said amount on what you need to do. You can do any amount. So if you come back and you want to do 20,000 or you want to do 40,000, then we would amend it then once there is an actual plan in place. And to me, I think that's a better plan, but that's my opinion. I don't have a vote.
So that's letting them stay like it is on here?
No, just
You would strike those.
Strike it.
don't include them at
I
this
agree with
point
that.
until the plan comes. And
I
if
think
we
that's what he
see that
wants.
we can't, pull it from the budget, we could even look at a little bit of the ARPA money that we still have.
Is that what you was insinuating doing?
Yeah, in a sense.
That's what I thought.
My thing is, and I think we're all on the same page with this, or most of us are, I don't want to see this never come back.
That's right.
Because I can tell you right now, I've got a lot of people in my district, yes, that are not for animal control, but I got a lot of them that are. And
That's countywide.
it is, it's a countywide issue, and
I think not knowing the group, and if you were to name one group, and then you could have some confusion, I think you're
If
better.
you pass
to
it
know.
as is right now, we're going to be doing the same thing next year.
Yes,
Exactly.
but we've got to amend something for dogs, the whole court, so.
yeah,
For the current year is what you're talking
correct,
about,
yeah.
yes.
And that's going to be tough to try to talk to everybody and say, hey, we didn't give them any money. I see what you're saying.
Right.
But they're going to come ask for $36,000. Because I can see some people's heads.
Well, if we go with it like we're going, and we let this go like it's on this piece of paper, then we've not done nothing but threw money away.
Correct.
In my opinion.
Well, can I ask you a question, Ms. Hunt?
Mhm.
Can we put $36,000 in the contracted animal control coordinator contribution? And then I'm hopeful that we will have somebody to put on that line item. Can we just put it as a placeholder for now? And then,
What I could do is I can just put in the budget under contracted services, but not name anybody in the
Correct.
nonprofit
Correct.
resolution.
correct,
That way the money is still in there, and then once you determine, or how we determine who's gonna actually get the money and funnel it, then we'll come back and have to amend the nonprofit resolution, so we can do that.
I feel more comfortable.
That sounds like a good idea.
So 36,000 is what we just wanna stick in under contracted services of some nature.
30. That 18.
We got a motion that's stated,
Is not, that's a motion for me.
For what?
as stated, she stated.
Put the money in, you're both saying two different motions.
Yeah, both.
Oh, okay.
He's saying,
Do you have a motion?
no, well, Archie had a motion as stated, as Heather stated it.
Oh, okay.
And then,
For a specific amount, or just put it down the contracted service?
Well, I'm not sure.
yeah,
What was the motion exactly?
As you stated, to move the
To
money into.
put 36,000 into contracted services, but we're not naming anybody as giving it in a nonprofit right now. We'll come back. It's just basically like a placeholder almost in the budget.
And Mark said,
Mark said he wants to do 30. My thing is, I want to be realistic.
Well, the realistic part I'm going by is we only get $5,000 from this company for the rabies, and we're giving 18 of it out.
Yep.
So we're losing 11, 12, $13,000 there.
but this could change every year, correct?
Yes, it could.
Yes, and that's what I was trying to say, the 18, I just didn't want you to think that number was fixed. That could be more or less, whatever you.
So did they receive ARPA money? Have they received ARPA money to help them
Yeah,
with this?
They did.
They all do.
Like,
Yeah,
close
in-
to $50,000, I think,
Yeah.
like $48,000.
In this current fiscal year, there were 5 animal, outside of the 3 that got their standard monies, the Humane, Faithful Friends, and SCAMP, 5 animal groups, including SCAMP, Hot Rod and Sagely were also given ARPA funds. Sagely and Hot Rod got a little bit more, 15,000, and the other ones each got 6,000.
15.6.
So if we put the 36 there, it's not like we can't revoke to bring it down later. Once we have that discussion with them, get a real true plan in place, and we can drive to that plan with one accountability officer in
Yes.
place to make sure that happens.
That's correct.
Today, all that money you just spoke of, I still get, like I said, still complaints. If you're sitting at the commission meeting with the lady come up there that they had issues, it's like 3 or 4 of them wanted to complain, that they even called an officer out to put the dog down. So we're not fixing the problem. They're saying nobody's showing up to help fix the problem, because they called everybody, and they said they even called the mayor's office, like, he's got a dog truck sitting around back. So I don't mind leaving the 36 there, because we're gonna have to go back and re-talk about it and have more of a, an alignment with them of what they're gonna need. They may need 36, they may need 46.
And that's my thing, and to the point that they only bring $5,000 in, well, honestly, none of these other nonprofits, well, I can't say none, most of these other nonprofits don't bring any money in either.
Yeah, it's just like animal control that you're paying for your people, but I find it hard for us to pay 36,000 or more than that money than we jump all over the 18 grand for the children and this for the
agree.
children. That's been a pet peeve of mine, but something's gonna have to change. We done took the 9 grand from them for this year.
And I think that was the right call, I didn't say that, so.
Yeah, hey, we voted.
to focus on a plan. But y'all do have a motion on the floor, so y'all need to.
I want to make the motion.
As stated,
I'll second what you said.
all in favor?
Yes, no, the grand totals. Okay, so for the top section, that would be $214,950. And we have 18,000 going to the chamber under the hotel motel section. And then we are going to be putting 36,000 in a contracted service budget line item for later discussions and plans to see exactly who gets that as far as if a nonprofit will get it or potentially something else, I guess, whatever the plan is.
Heather, give me that figure again. 200 what?
214,950.
And then 36,000 on those, right?
Yeah, 18 under hotel motel and 36 under for animal coordination, earmarked money basically.
But, yeah, remember that 9 is from this year's. Tied to it. So- 129,700.
Should it drop that much? I was thinking more like 70 or 80,000. Maybe I figured it wrong.
She got it right, so what did she do?
Yeah, give me a second.
I just used this bottom number right here.
So do we,
281,927.
You're comparing to the 281,927 column, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I was
Okay,
saying.
just making
I'm
sure.
talking about the original amount. Yeah, that's what I got twice. But
Really?
Well, you were thinking like zero in both of those, but that was just, I think his number's coming because, hold on. The difference, because if you were to assume that you were going to give 26,000 to chamber
The number I
again,
just told him was that assumption that
Yeah.
y'all were giving everything everybody was asking.
I had about a $57,000 savings.
That's off the actual amount,
Yeah, okay.
not off the ask amount.
I thought we did.
We cut it 67,000.
Cut it around $60,000 almost.
All right, do we have a need for a meeting tomorrow?
So anything else?
Should we step out and call the fire department and ask them? I don't know who to call, really. I guess I could call Chuck, but
Tomorrow, Wednesday?
Chuck would be the one to talk to.
if they're not gonna be,
I think Ethan's off on this, so he's not.
I don't know. I can try.
See if I have it on my phone. I have Chuck and I have Ethan.
Well, give me a 5-minute recess.
You got 2 minutes, sir. You've been cutting everything
I
off.
won't be enough.
No, I've got Chuck's number too.
You live with
Okay.
it?
So we're at the nonprofit meeting. The nonprofit committee has, brought y'all down to 100,000. If y'all are not.
We're gonna save more capital.
Usually, from what I've been told, it keeps going up. But it's, like, I think the dog thing is the only way to do it.
Yeah, and that's the only way, and that's the only way I'm willing to.
That's a good suggestion. And if you're earmarking it, I mean, most likely it'll be a nonprofit, but if there's another plan too, you can move that 36 to whatever the plan
Right,
is.
they can work together, or they won't do nothing.
It's like mid Cumberland, you know they're getting federal money, and it's like nobody wants to get it.
Well,
And they provide a great service for
the
patients.
chamber don't do anything else other than the hotel motel, what we do, do they get grants or anything?
They have over the years. I mean, I know the prior director was talking about different grants that she, like there was a small
You might call
MTTC
Kaylee.
grant that they've done. that
Yeah,
kind of
they
thing.
can't grant
We
across
need
the
to
way.
get it, we need it right on this side of where they get that property, so. I talked to a buddy of mine who's.
Thank you
Thank
all.
y'all.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Military. I was trying to get him.
And on the
to do it.
state side, they,
Because really,
had a glitch with their system. They lost a lot of personality, because I've had a number of, because we always go out to the state site and check their registration
Yeah.
dates, but Highland Run was one, when you said that I knew, but
Yeah.
they're not, I've had like 3 or 4 of them that have had a problem with something's not quite right. And one of them said that they were just low staffed and they were trying to catch up with all their changes. Because the state changed that complete platform this year. It used to be a different platform. That had something to do with it as well, but,
I just, I went, whenever I've done it, I went through all of it, and see who had the nonprofit status and who didn't. I was there for a second out. Whenever theirs come up expired, I was like, are you kidding me?
pretty much every year I'll like, usually there's one that maybe just, or sometimes it's an error, sometimes it's, and then you got Melissa's sister Kelly. It's not under, did you try to find hers?
Yes.
She's under like the business side,
Yeah.
and she has sent me her filing where it clearly says it's nonprofit. They just put her in the wrong section, so.
Archie, we had the packet with you, my wife had the packet with what the fire department wanted. We had this, because I think they wanted, I know they wanted a couple of things in the paper and
I was curious what you're saying.
some, like a cascade system and some other things.
you're looking at their apparatus replacement schedule?
Yeah.
I do know we should come up with some kind of policy or procedure for these groups to come before us.
Yes.
On submitting stuff, you know, like invoices and budgeting, either before the money comes out to them or after the money comes out to them. I think we need to come up with something.
How often do we meet?
No, we only, so when you give to a nonprofit, you can have any kind of policy in place, but ultimately, there is no repercussion by TCA code. Once you give to a nonprofit, there's, for example, on the ARPA money, we specifically, we had an oversight committee and they were gonna come up with maybe a procedure on those monies because they were larger and they were more specific. Nothing really, didn't have a quorum for oversight, so long story short, prior Mayor Brandon just said, well, minimum, let's just do that they need to turn in their receipts. So, not that I have an issue with that, but it does become a lot of legwork on our office. We're now having to try to contact these people, call them, give receipts. I mean, we've only collected maybe a third of the receipts. The different organizations, they're confused. What time frame do they need to receive? You know, if we're going to have procedures, it has to be very clear. But there's also, if it becomes so much of a personnel burden, to only be fair to my staff, I have to look to see if we're going to create a whole new position of tracking these, because these groups, a lot of them, it's a lot of communication back and forth with these groups, because I even create some of their financial templates to help them. I mean, we check their numbers. A lot of times we have to go back and say, look, you didn't have the carryover correct. They're volunteers, and I'm not knocking any of them because they do an excellent job. They serve this community, but you have to remember most of these people are volunteers. If they're not a great big organization where they're having an independent auditor do their stuff, it's hard for them to just stop everything they're doing in their everyday life and try to coordinate, and there's confusion a lot of times, and we're walking them through each and every time. We're just doing the yearly request.
And I know it would probably cause us to meet more and be more of a headache, but be more responsible with taxpayers' money if we're handing out like this. I feel like it's our responsibility to look at it a little closer when we have it.
I don't know if you've been over to their office, they've got boxes of stuff stacked in the wall,
I understand.
and the little building out back is stacked full.
But I do agree with you. If you want the committee to take that on as a chore, well, I mean, that's y'all's right as a committee.
But it's some kind of policy.
Yeah.
We, you know, as a group, we can sit here and come up with something that we can go by, have a little bit more.
I mean, and my only stipulation is this: we were asked for the receipts, and I haven't had one single person yet ask me to see those receipts, and we're not done collecting them. But but so if we are to create something, I just want to make sure it's going to be beneficial, that somebody's actually, we are going to actually be looking at this, and we're bringing the people. I don't want to just create work to create work.
And if y'all want to look up TCA for that, TCA code 59109, charitable and civic organizations, it goes into detail about some of that stuff in here too. So.
Yeah, I don't want to make more work for you.
No,
I do want to be more accountable with giving people money.
Well, when somebody asked me why we gave 18 grand for this, I want to
That's
go to
right.
say, hey, well, I don't know if you know what they do, or what, they provide. That's one thing I try to do my background, is like, what does these people provide for our citizens, et cetera. But the cost that relays into it, hey, well, they make 100 trips a year bringing the elderly food and doing this, and we do, strike this, strike that. It makes us, it makes us a lot better instead of being more transparent to the taxpayers. So.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll communicate anything you want. We right now actually send out a letter. We do it twice a year. We send out a prompt letter in the fall. Once we know it's approved, it tells them all the regulations. We are still in contact because we don't get everything, and we're going back, we're like, you have to send us this, and then and it's back and forth. So I worry if you put a lot of detail on them, you may not get what you want, or it may be difficult for them. I'm not saying to not try. I just want you to understand that when we're dealing with some of the smaller groups specifically, and even some of the larger groups, because they have certain contacts that are doing it, Jamie, she spends a tremendous amount of time. I've actually had to delegate.
One whole week on those letters.
It's just a tremendous amount of work trying to coordinate and communicate with trying to get all the information from the nonprofits.
But that may straighten up some of the hassle, though, if you say you don't get anything if you don't do it.
There you go. And that's my
If
thing.
you want money, you better get your.
Yeah,
That's exactly
hey,
right.
then when we go into budget year next year, hey, here, I've got exactly what their agendas was, what was spent, how it was done, this quarter come through.
And it would only take you guys one extra meeting. Really, I'll be here.
But I mean, to me, it's
We got time. I think we got some time. Probably nonprofit's not going to meet again until for next budget, correct? Unless
reason.
something happens, and then we'd probably be.
Well, maybe on the animal groups.
And other than that, and I think that we could probably get that from them, with or whoever we decide to go with, or how many we decide to go with. But I feel like that, we probably won't be the same ones on the committee for next year. It may be, but it may be different.
You
ones
could
too,
see the
but-
need of what they need. You know, it's kind of like the fire department. Why exactly do you need this? When we had the dog groups in here, I don't know if I was the only one. They kept plopping numbers out and I'm writing them down. It cost me $10,000 here, but, okay, show me where that money, where's your AOP? Well, I don't know what that is. What is your annual operating, structure for your business or whatever, your nonprofit is? You have to supply that somewhere, so. And they were like, I don't know what that is. Well, I don't know how do you give money away?
Come up
Whatever
with
you-
something.
Yeah.
And then we can go before the full commission to approve.
I don't want to use the word determinant, but if you start putting policies in place and make people actually do things and follow some rules, you might see some of these drop off.
I agree.
I mean, I'm required at Station 9 to give a receipt for every single thing I do. And I got one.
drop them off whether they do it or not.
Yeah, I would
Buy
just ask that we
t-shirts.
be very specific so that, we can document like in a letter of policy so they clearly know.
I think receipts is too far.
Do
but
we
I
need
think we can do
to-
something.
I don't want to. Just line item, motion, money in, money out.
Can we talk to Charles about it? maybe?
Yeah, I agree.
Y'all can just decide to do it. I mean, we can invite Charles one night, and you can decide how you want to do it, and what policy as a board you want to take to, you can say, these are going to be the policy and the procedures going forward, the nonprofit committee.
Can we have that line item on our next meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
And we can invite Charles, he can help you out.
We'll have a meeting next month before that.
Not for nonprofit, for budget.
Maybe.
Yes, budget finance will meet next Monday at 6:30.
Then we got a regular meeting, what, 27th?
Thursday.
Commission.
They know meeting Thursday.
Won't be coming.
No,
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second
When I
that.
get home, surely I won't make the wrong mind.
You adjourned?
You are.
I got the red one.
Yes.
Adjourned.